We have most respected scientist V. Ponraj sir with us. I really proud to welcome him and introduce him among you, dear participants. He was a junior scientist uh, at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and Bioinformatics Center, School of Biotechnology, Madurai Kamaraj University, yeah, at Aeronautical Development Agency at Ministry of Defense. He was worked as a scientist in design and development of fighter aircraft and LCA Tejas as a scientist. C, D, E, F, and G for 17 years. He was deputed to President Secretariat as a Director, Technology Interface. For more than 8 years, he was with past President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir, as his advisor on science and technology and public policy. He was also worked as a scientist at ADA with Dr. Kalam sir. Having worked for 20 years with Honorable President Dr. Kalam sir on various capabilities, he resigned from ADA in 2016 and now mentoring social movement called Abdul Kalam Vision India Movement and a political movement called Abdul Kalam Vision India Party. He meets around 20,000 people, youth, students on every month and seeding them the vision and mission of our former President APJ sir. With 25 years of professional, scientific and technical experience, he is now an advisor to various educational institutions, professional bodies and public and private organizations and many more. Sir, your words will enrich our faculty members' knowledge and motivate us towards contributing to the teaching learning process. Sir. Welcome, sir. I hand over the session to sir. We are eagerly waiting to your motivational words. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sir, 1 minute, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I have another meeting to attend. I would really love to listen to you. I will see it on YouTube. So, organization, please allow me to leave. I will surely catch up with your session on the YouTube.
Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Nice to be with you.
Nice to see you. Nice to listen to you for a few minutes. Your valuable address, and really, I'm thanking. Thank you for the wonderful address, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So let me start. Dear friends, good evening to all of you. You want me to talk in English or Tamil? Both? Or it's a southern region, right? Southern region. Better to be in English. Thank you. The Coimbatore branch of SIRC of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and the Karpagam Academy of Higher Education jointly launched the online faculty development program on recent advances in business studies. Really is a wonderful program, and so far from August 7th to 13th, you are having continuously 2-hour session for the benefit of the professors as well as the students in the business studies. Really, I am very delighted to know that the artificial intelligence and in business and business analytics, blockchain business models, and an audit and assurance engagements, then about chartered accountant carry a course as well as the recent developments in accounting profession. Really, I am very happy, and it is a wonderful evening to interact with the participants of this program, faculty development program, and the majority of the student faculty. You are. It is very. I hope you would have enjoyed the sessions which are carried out so far, and certainly I love to share the experiences, because I have worked as a scientist as well as the bureaucrat for 5 years with Dr. Kalam when Dr. Kalam was the president, 11th president, and during that time I was working as a director technology interface at Rashtrapati Bhavan. And also had a chance to interact with many of the chartered accountants in the country in many occasions, along with Dr. Kalam, and had an opportunity to prepare the speeches for Dr. Kalam with reference to your auditing and accounting procedures and the processes. So I had a little bit knowledge on the on your subject, but but you are the masters. But whatever I feel during this session, I thought I will share some of the when Dr. Kalam was there. How do we see? Normally, Dr. Kalam used to say, when we launch a missile, or a rocket, we will build a system which will do the mid-course correction till it reaches the target. So, if you launch the missile, it should reach the target. Whatever the path it takes, it doesn't matter. But ultimately, it should hit the target. That is the purpose of the mission of a rocket or a satellite launch vehicle. So, for that, a technology-based system, a technology-based rocket, a technology-based mission need mid-course correction while going through the path, challenging the atmospheric pressure, the atmospheric temperature, facing the opposite vehicles, opposite missiles, and then achieve the target without any disturbance. That is the purpose of the mission. So I feel evolution of a non-intrusive audit, e-audit, is essential at all stages of any project for that matter, or any company for that matter, which will do the mid-course correction and finally achieve the mission of the project. That is the purpose of the business activity and the audit activity and then accounting activity. So, if we are able to achieve that target, then certainly that is going to make a great change in the life, in the not only the situation, but that is going to create a kind of a steady as well as a robust, a reliable system of auditing and accounting, which will ensure the development of the nation without any deviation. So this is very, very essential. The chartered accountants, the role of chartered accountants in the national development is very, very essential, and it is vital for the national development. That's what I feel. So the audit, the perspective of the audit, which I feel, the audit function is closely linked to the actions of the government to meet the needs of the citizens. Hence, the judgment of the performance cannot be just in finance, but the composite factor of performance, cost, schedule, and the code of conduct. The nation has a clear strategic vision to become a developed country by 2020, but we lost 20 years during the time. Now, today we are in the stage where the country is facing many challenges in all fronts. We are seeing the GDP downline. The GDP is going downward. The growth is reduced to less than 3%, and it is expected to go in the negative path, and our dwindling foreign exchange reserves, and then the value of the rupee against the dollar is reducing, it is going down. In such a scenario, complete MSME sector has seen around, as per the survey of the All India Industrial Manufacturer Association organization, as well as CAA, has predicted around 35% of the MSME sector is going to be closed down, and around 37% of the self-employed people are going to lose their self-employment. And the challenge is huge. Even though government has given the 20 lakh crore incentives and 3 lakh crore credit guarantee schemes, there are many challenges which are seen. After the implementation of the GST, even my friends, a number of auditors have told me, I don't know, you have to verify, told me that job of the auditor has become a risky one. Is it so? Maybe my friend Mr. Chartered Accountant Jalabadi has to, the Vice Chairman who initiated this wonderful program, have to say on that. I hope you might have discussed. I would have loved to attend all your program, but I missed it. Anyway, I will watch it during my leisure time. My greetings to the Mr. C.K. Jalabadi, Vice Chairman, for initiating this wonderful program. So certainly I feel it's a challenging time. We are facing a very challenging task, and particularly auditors have a very risky proposition. You have to face numerous kind of activity in managing the accounts, in satisfying, evolving the accounting standard when the country is adopting the international standard, the transition. There are many challenges which are ahead of you. So, but as far my view is concerned, when I look at the development of India, the Developed India Vision 2020, now we are in the 2020, the Kalam year 2020, the Corona year 2020. Now the Corona, the SARS-CoV-2, where it is going to stop us and where it is going to allow us to continue our progress in all front of the economy, whether it is agriculture, whether it is a service sector, whether it is an industrial sector or a manufacturing sector. It is a huge challenge which are ahead of us. And the responsibility, the success of the industry, the success of the government projects are in the hands of the auditors, are in the hands of the accountants. So it is you who are going to make this nation great. So my point, to meet the vision, the Developed India Vision 2020, even though we have not achieved the Vision 2020, maybe in the future, another 20 years down the line, we really feel this Corona has made us to understand the vision is really important. The vision of development is really important. Sustainable development and inclusive growth is the hallmark of any development of any nation. So we have to launch a infrastructure, a mega infrastructure missions in the evergreen revolution, in interconnecting our rivers, in creating the smart waterways, in bringing a self-reliant villages by implementing Pura vision, and also evolving a policy of ecosystem, a innovation ecosystem, which will help our MSME sector and industrial sector to focus on manufacturing sector, to focus on concentrating on the import substitution. So our concentration on import substitution, our concentration on opening up our economy for bringing the world industries, which is diverting towards ASEAN. Today, the Fortune 500 company have predicted that more than 70% of the Fortune 500 companies are moving towards America, USA. Around 9% of the Fortune 500 companies are moving towards, are in China. There's more than 20%, 30% companies already existing in China. More than 20% are moving away from China. So China will have the opportunity to retain only 9% of the Fortune 500 companies. And Europe and India is in a bad stage. That is around only 2.5% of the Fortune 500 companies can come to India. But ASEAN has the advantage, like Vietnam has the advantage of ASEAN countries will have the advantage of inviting more than 12% of the Fortune 500 companies into their country. This is the global scenario. With this kind of a scenario, how do we manage the situation? How do we empower our industries by bringing the appropriate reforms, the appropriate system, the GST implementation system, the GST tax collection system is called as a system which is creating all the problems. The system which has not consulted all the stakeholders of the auditing and accounting has been the grievance of the many of the auditors, I feel. Now, this system and the implementation of the GST has made a dent on the growth of the formal economy, that is the MSME sector and the industrial sector of the economy. I hope the government, how it is going to evolve a robust system, how the government is going to transform the existing GST tax collection system, the existing GST implementation, how they are going to transform is again a major challenge. With all these challenges with us, I feel certainly I am confident if the government is able to bring nearly around 50 lakh crores. I have written this necessity in Dinamani article, Michamellam Mucham Thodu. In the Dinamani 74th article, I have written around 50 lakh crore is the need of the hour to revive the economy of India. Now, within 30 days of I have written the article, the minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, of the industrial minister, the MSME minister and the minister for ports, he has clearly declared we need 60 lakh crores to revive the economy. So certainly revive the economy, to make the money flow in the hands of the people and to create the purchasing power and also invigorate our economy, we have to infuse at least around 50 lakh crore investment or the loan from the multilateral World Bank and other financial institutions is an essential need of the hour. So with this kind of a scenario, how are we going to face it? So nation should have a clear strategic vision to become a developed country, make India as a developed country. This is essential. Dr. Kalam has built the foundation laid by Vikram Sarabhai from the space sector, D.S. Kothari from the defense sector, Homi Bhabha from the atomic energy sector, with the support of the Prime Minister from Jawaharlal Nehru, Lal Bahadur Shastri, Indira Gandhi, and Rajiv Gandhi, Narasimha Rao, then Vajpayee. With all the great Prime Ministers, Dr. Kalam has laid a foundation of bringing self-reliance in the space, in the defense, in the atomic energy, and also in the aeronautics. We have achieved near normal self-reliance, but whether we have achieved, how to achieve a self-reliance in our economy, in the three sectors of the economy, that is a bigger challenge in front of us, in each and every one of us. To achieve that self-reliance, we have to invest 3% of the GDP for the research, innovation and discovery. That is the primary part of it. So unless we put a research, and then we have to move towards Industry 5.0 and make our society into 6.0. Japan has defined what kind of a society 5.0 they are going to achieve by adopting the deep technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning, blockchain technology, then biotechnology, then the nanotechnology, then quantum computing. These are the deep technologies. The research and innovation will make our life quality, will make the way of life, the way we work, the way we travel, the way we communicate, the way we do business, the way we transact, the way we transport, the way we interact. Everything is going to be transformed by adopting these technologies. These technologies are going to bring a major change in blockchain technology. By implementing blockchain technology, the bank in US is able to, a single bank in US is able to save $8 billion by just adopting the blockchain technology. That means the financial institutions are transforming itself by adopting the technology. The financial institutions are transforming itself by adopting the machine learning, the robotics for automating the operations. By automating the manual operations, the mundane operations, their performance is going to get increased in manifold, and they're able to concentrate on improving the business, the improving the profit, and the improving the quality of life of the people. The 5 days working is going to be reduced to 2 days or 3 days of working. That means the quality of contribution, okay, it is going to, and the quality of life is going to improve, and the quantum of the work you are going to put with the productivity is going to improve. The agility and adaptability of our work is going to be improved in a multifold and manifold. With this context, how are we going to, as an auditing or accounting or a business professionals, how are we going to work for our vision? How are we going to base our foundation? How are we going to lay our foundation to achieve a greater role in contributing our professional ethics, professional standards, and also developing our knowledge to transform India into a developed country? That is the question. So to meet this vision, we have embarked on a number of challenging missions which encompass central and state governments, public-private partnership, international partners, NGOs, and even motivated individuals. These missions are highly challenging to the success, highly challenging with many factors contributing to the success. There are many stakeholders to accomplish the programs meeting the mission objectives. There may be a number of uncertainties which would call for parallel approaches, contingency plans, and workaround solutions, and effective audit function with a continuous proactive forecasting outlook for successful completion of the project within the established code of conduct is the need of the hour. That is what I feel. For this, one of the requirements is to have a life cycle participation of audit as a partner. Audit is not as an independent authority, but audit should become a partner of the vision. Auditor should become the partner of the project. Auditor should become the partner of, that means it is not colluding with the company. It is not colluding with the government. No, you are going to do mid-course correction. That would ensure a full understanding of the program, full understanding of the mission, full understanding of the company to make an effective judgment of actions in public interest with respect to the established system and procedures. The focus of the audit should be to ensure that the money invested is in tune with the overall mission objective. So that the audit should become an enabler for accomplishing missions, meeting the objectives, rather than ex post facto fault finder. No doubt, the system should be such that it rewards high performance and weeds out unethical elements. At the same time, the very act of audit should not become a delay column for the project. The knowledge of auditors for the given task has to be enhanced because the projects of the 21st century will have multidisciplinary inputs. The technology adoption for audit standards and the process is very, very essential. The process of audit has to become online. For this, it may be advisable to install e-governance system for project management and monitoring at the commencement of the project itself. The required information must be available to the audit team online. The CA students or the CA chartered accountants should adopt the technology for enabling the task of the audit. India has signed with the IFRS. You all know the International Financing Reporting Standards. India has signed to adopt the international reporting standards. India has in IAS, Indian Accounting Standards, which is computerized to enable the process. IAS is getting tuned with IFRS standards. Since 2015, it is being made compulsory for the big companies who have a turnover of more than 5,000 crore to adopt IFRS standard. I came to understand from 2018, the technology-enabled reporting standards through IAS has to be made mandatory for all companies. I hope you may be the right person to judge. Hence, as a CA accounting professionals, you should be familiar in adopting technology for your continuing education to upgrade the knowledge in auditing standards on the fly, on your mobile or a tab through a cloud-based access. At the same time, adopt the technology such as paperless office system, dynamic workflow, and document management system through cloud computing, and convert the day-to-day mundane jobs and processes into adopting e-governance systems. If you adopt such e-governance system, your productivity can be improved better, which will help you to concentrate on the main role, helping companies, helping the government and the projects by involving yourself in mid-course correction during the implementation stage itself on the project to achieve the desired result rather than do the post-mortem, the results of which are generally not adopted in the subsequent projects are not adopted generally, or it will take years together to imbibe the advice given by the auditors into the project since it has an inherent weakness in the systemic adoption of the present day governance. We have seen there is a huge hue and cry is created by CAG, but after the CAG creates huge hue and cry, political actions are taken, and then governments are transformed. Finally, nothing is happening. No transformation is happening. So, what is the mission for audit for the 21st century nation? A nation, when it enters to 21st century, what kind of the mission we should envisage? Such an approach will ensure completion of the audit routine almost simultaneously with the accomplishment of the project. Hence, the mission for the audit is 21st century should include the following. Number one, it is essential to be proactive enabler of missions, facilitating the program or project outcome as envisaged. Forecasting, second, forecasting of challenges for effective fiscal utilization and providing useful inputs for maintaining the momentum of the project. The third may be re-engineering systems and procedures to avoid mistakes. Audit can provide do's and don'ts to the executives based on the past experience and the practicability of field level implementation. Fourth, the continuous training of audit personnel on the modern trends of audit for carrying out specialized audit on development projects with a clear understanding of projects and programs. The fifth one may be the CAG in partnership with the organization can periodically conduct courses for scientific, technological, and managerial teams of the program on audit philosophy with the case studies, how audit queries can transform into audit para, how audit para into oral evidence by a PAC and PAC recommendation. This will alert both audit community and technological community on the right audit path and right project management path and right technological path. Now, one of the other issue challenge is non-utilization of allotted budget. One of the general report, number of ministries, number of systems, they never utilize the allotted budget and then return the money. One of the general report comes out of the audit is the unspent money in many of the vital programs and missions and the projects. Why? For example, when we studied the utilization profile of the budget allotment, for example, the scientific ministries, when we did our scientific ministries, when Dr. Kalam was the 11th president, we studied what is the profile of the allotment, budget allotment, how it has been spent. To our surprise, we found that approximately 20% of the funds allotted to science and technology departments had remained unutilized. And in certain ministries, it was found that more than 50% of the amount allotted had not been utilized at all. And the donor ministry for the northeastern states, more than 60,000 crore has been unspent. So these are the findings which we found during our study when Dr. Kalam was the 11th president. Recent report on healthcare spending by the state government, it says most of the states failed to spend central funds on the health, and it shows clearly that around 6 to 8 states have spent ranging from only 0 to 28%. Only till 28% only till the end of January every year normally. Every year only 28% are spent. That means what is the problem? The problem is with the project, the problem is with the mission, or the problem is with the tendering, or the problem is with the execution, or the problem is with the implementation, or the problem is with the corruption or accounting. What is the issue? We have to check. That means this indeed, if you look at other ministries like Ministry for Road and other infrastructure development, completely will be utilized. That means any system, any project which has a knowledge input, which has a technological input are getting delayed. But any project which is on the road, bridges, or any other thing which is a conventionally whatever you can spend, they are spending more. So this is the kind of the revelation which will clearly tell us where the concentration of the government, where the concentration of the companies, where the concentration of the on the kind of the entire focus, which finally lead to the failure, which finally lead to, that means it is indeed a serious matter. Audit should find out the reason, the bottlenecks for the non-utilization of the funds. Since it is happening in number of states and ministries, they may also like to suggest the systemic changes required to improve the situation. While studying the CAG report, for example, we found CAG had conducted audit of rural employment generation program. The performance of audit of Jawahar Rozgar Yojana disclosed during the scheme suffered from shortcomings in the critical areas of targeting, inadequacy of the provision of funds, and then fictitious reporting, lack of evidence of employment generated. Based on experience, Dr. Kalam has suggested number of measures to the members of the CAG to provide e-governance based audit support system to the central and state governments for implementing provisions of the Employment Guarantee Bill of 2005. So that shortcomings which were noticed in the earlier scheme of rural employment generation does not get repeated. But till 2020, I think nothing has been done on that. However, we found based on the survey conducted by the NGO recently and implemented on the 100-day scheme, the rural employment guarantee scheme in different states, following the problems have been again come to light. As per the press report, rampant corruption, widespread irregularities, delay in payment, fewer working days, and lack of awareness. So, hence, Dr. Kalam has suggested Audit Advisory Committee to consider this issue and provide suggestions which can enable CAG to participate in the program and offer methods for smooth and transparent implementation of the scheme and focus on the objectives of the program and realization of the district development goals. Dear friends, as you are aware, the CAG is a de facto our National Chief Accountability Officer. The CAG's mission is not only oversee conformance to the rules and regulations, but on the basis of the unique experience and the database acquired by the CAG over the years to help improve the performance, transparency, and assure the accountability of the government to benefit of our people. Dear friends, with all the system, now I would like to conclude with one point. We need creative leaders for implementing such systems, for managing complex and large projects, and delivering the fruits of the performance to the people, whether it is a company, as a government, or any project for that matter. For success in all mission, we need creative leaders. Creative leadership means exercising the vision to change the traditional role from the commander to coach, from manager to mentor, from director to delegator, and from the one who demands respect to one who facilitates self-respect. With all these things, we need leaders who can create such a quality, the creative leadership quality. A leader should have a vision. A leader should have a passion to transform the vision into mission. A leader should walk into an unexplored path. A leader should practice transparency in each and every action. A leader should have a courage in taking decision. A leader should celebrate the success, should celebrate the failure, and celebrate the success. A leader should know how to manage the success and also to manage the failures. A leader should walk into an unexplored path. A leader should work with integrity and succeed with integrity. These are the leadership quality we need to adopt in each and every profession that we adopt. Certainly, I hope you have gone through various kind of a training program which will empower you as not only a professor, not only a professional, but a leader in your profession. I wish you all the best. My greetings and congratulations to all of you, and also to Mr. K. Jalabadi, the Vice Chairman, who has given a mentoring role and a leadership role in promoting this mission. My greetings to the entire Coimbatore branch of SIRC of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and the Karpagam Academy of Higher Education. My greetings to the past president and the guest of honor, the CAG Ramasamy, and also the Vice Chairman of the South India Regional Council of ICAI, CA K. Jalabadi, and all the other special invitees and the speakers, and all the professors and the students. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
And I request our Vice Chairman to thank our special guest of the day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for detailed insight to the auditing related to the profession and the current developments in the country and what we need for the future. All the things you have clearly explained. Thank you so much. Maybe this could be very much useful for the faculty members to in turn, they will inform and request the students to develop the leadership qualities. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the faculty viewers. Thank you. Thank you.